Let me ask you something. How many times have you gone out of your way to help someone only to feel drained, unappreciated, or even betrayed? It's a tough pill to swallow, isn't it? Sometimes your good heart can lead you straight into situations where you're being used. We've been taught that helping others is noble, and it is. But not everyone deserves your time, your energy, or your kindness. There are people out there who will take advantage of your generosity, people who will drain your spirit, and people who will hold you back from becoming the person you're meant to be. If you don't recognize these kinds of people, you risk sacrificing your goals, your mental peace, and even your self-worth. That's a high price to pay for trying to do the right thing. But here's the truth. You can't pour from an empty cup. If you keep giving to the wrong people, you'll have nothing left for yourself or for those who truly need your help. How do you protect yourself while still living with kindness and purpose? How do you know when it's time to stop helping someone? Let's dive into the 8 kinds of people you should stop helping, because your energy is too valuable to waste. Person 1, the perpetual victim. Listen, there's something I need you to understand. You've got good intentions, you've got a big heart, and you want to help people. You want to be there for others. You want to make a difference in their lives. But there's one thing you need to realize. Not everyone is ready to be helped. Not everyone is going to appreciate your effort. And worse yet, some people will drain the life out of you if you let them. One of the biggest challenges you'll face in life is learning who to help and who to avoid. Today we're talking about a very specific kind of person who will drain you, hold you back, and keep you from growing. Now, I'm not saying there's no such thing as real struggle. Life can be tough. People go through hardships, loss, and pain, and those experiences deserve empathy and understanding. But there are people out there who have been through challenges, and instead of facing them, learning from them, and growing, they wear their suffering like a badge. They see themselves as victims, and that becomes their identity. They blame everything and everyone for their problems, and they use their struggles as a reason to stay stuck. And that's the key difference. There are people who go through hard times and come out stronger. And then there are those who use their hardship as an excuse to stay stagnant. The perpetual victim is someone who chooses to keep living in their pain over and over again. And you need to stop helping them. What is the perpetual victim? The perpetual victim is someone who sees themselves as constantly oppressed, always in pain, always struggling. They never take accountability for their actions. They don't recognize their power to change. Everything that happens to them is someone else's fault. They live in a world where they're always under attack, and no matter what happens, it's never their fault. Listen, the world can be tough. Life can knock you down. But the most powerful thing you can do in the face of adversity is take responsibility for your life. Not in a way where you blame yourself for things that are out of your control, but in a way that says, I might not have chosen my circumstances, but I get to choose how I respond to them. The perpetual victim refuses to do that. They refuse to take responsibility for their own lives. Instead, they rely on others to lift them up, to save them, to make it all better. They'll constantly tell you about their struggles, but they'll never ask, what can I do to get better? What can I do to change my situation? And here's the real kicker. Even when you try to help them, they resist. They don't want solutions. They want sympathy. Why should you stop helping the perpetual victim? Let me be clear. You're not obligated to help someone who doesn't want to help themselves. When you're dealing with a perpetual victim, no matter how much time, energy, or love you pour into them, it's never enough. They're always looking for more, but they're never truly willing to change their mindset or their behavior. They'll suck the energy right out of you and leave you feeling drained, while they stay stuck in their narrative of victimhood. Here's why you need to stop helping them. They don't want solutions. A perpetual victim doesn't want to hear how they can fix things. They don't want advice. They just want someone to listen to their complaints. You can tell them over and over again what they need to do to make things better, but if they don't want to take action, nothing will change. You cannot change someone who is committed to staying the same. You're enabling their victimhood. When you continue helping someone who refuses to take responsibility for their actions, you're enabling them. You're reinforcing the idea that they can continue to complain without making any effort to change. Your support becomes a crutch for their unwillingness to take control of their life. Instead of empowering them to stand on their own 2 feet, you're perpetuating their reliance on you. They keep you stuck. Every time you help someone who sees themselves as a perpetual victim, you're also getting stuck in their cycle of negativity. You'll find yourself going around in circles, talking about the same problems over and over again, and never moving forward. You're going to feel like you're making no progress. You're going to feel like you're running on a treadmill, constantly spinning your wheels. They bring negativity into your life. The perpetual victim is always focused on what's wrong. They're constantly looking for flaws, faults, and failures in everything around them. That energy is toxic, and it can rub off on you if you're not careful. You cannot surround yourself with negativity and expect to thrive. You need to protect your energy, and that means distancing yourself from people who are constantly focused on the negative. You lose sight of your own growth. When you're focused on helping someone who doesn't want help, it becomes easy to lose track of your own goals. You spend all your time and energy trying to fix someone else's problems, but your own dreams, your own ambitions, your own growth get put on the back burner. You've got to put your own mask on first before you can help anyone else. If you keep pouring into someone who isn't pouring back into themselves, you're going to burn out. They don't respect your efforts. At some point, the perpetual victim will start to take your efforts for granted. They'll expect you to help them without any gratitude or acknowledgement. When you try to set boundaries, when you try to step back and say, "Hey, I need to focus on my own life," they'll accuse you of being selfish or uncaring. But here's the truth. It's not selfish to take care of yourself. You can't keep giving when you've got nothing left to give. What should you do instead? I'm not saying you should abandon everyone who's struggling. Life is tough for a lot of people. But you've got to recognize when someone isn't willing to change. You've got to recognize when someone is stuck in a mindset that's holding them back. And you've got to learn to let go. Instead of helping the perpetual victim, here's what you can do. Set boundaries. Boundaries are key. It's okay to say, "I can't keep doing this. I'm here for you, but I need to take care of myself too." Be clear about your limits, and don't feel guilty for setting them. Encourage personal responsibility. Instead of trying to fix their problems, encourage them to take responsibility for their own lives. Ask them, "What are you going to do about it?" Push them to find solutions, not just to wallow in their problems. Offer support, not rescue. Be there to support, but don't try to rescue them. Support them in their journey, but don't carry them across the finish line. Let them do the hard work. Recognize your power to choose. Remember, you can choose who you give your time and energy to. You are in control of your own life, and you get to decide where you spend your resources. Don't feel obligated to help people who aren't willing to help themselves. Invest in people who want to grow. Shift your focus. Spend your time and energy on people who are actively working to improve their lives. Invest in relationships where there's mutual growth and respect. It's time to stop helping the perpetual victim and start focusing on your own growth and the growth of others who are willing to take responsibility for their lives. You can't change someone who doesn't want to change, but you can choose to empower yourself and those around you. Protect your energy, set boundaries, and remember, you are worthy of relationships that inspire you to be your best self. Person 2, the chronic taker. This is one of the most dangerous people to have in your life. I'm not talking about people who ask for help every now and then, or those who are in genuine need of support. No, I'm talking about those who constantly take from you your time, your energy, your resources, without ever giving anything back. It's the person who makes you feel like you're always on call, always there to pick up the pieces. But when the tables are turned, they're nowhere to be found. I want you to understand something right now. You have to protect your peace, protect your energy, and protect your time. And here's the reality. You can't pour from an empty cup. If you're constantly giving, constantly helping, constantly being the shoulder to cry on for the chronic taker, you're going to run out of what you need to take care of yourself. This person doesn't ask how you're doing, doesn't check in on you, but they're more than happy to ask for your help when it's convenient for them. Let me break it down for you because this is important. When you're dealing with a chronic taker, it can feel good at first. You might think, hey, I'm helping them out. I'm being a good friend, a good person. But over time, you start to feel drained. You give more and more, and they take more and more. But what are you getting in return? What value are they adding to your life? The answer is nothing, nothing at all. That's when the problem starts to creep in. When you're the one doing all the giving, it starts to become an imbalance. You give away your time, your energy, and your love, but this person's not lifting you up. They're not putting anything back into the relationship. They're not helping you when you need it. They're constantly taking and never replenishing. That's a recipe for burnout. I'm not saying to stop helping people who genuinely need it. Help those who help themselves. But I want you to recognize the chronic taker for what they are. These are the people who are experts at draining your resources without ever offering you something of value in return. And the truth is, you can't afford to keep enabling that kind of behavior. I've been there. You've been there. We've all been there at some point. You feel like you're doing the right thing by helping, by giving, by being that person people turn to in their time of need. But it gets to a point where you realize you're losing yourself. You're giving so much of your time and energy to someone who isn't reciprocating. And you're neglecting your own needs, your own dreams, your own goals. You're too busy propping up someone else to realize that you need support too. A chronic taker doesn't respect your boundaries. They don't care about the fact that you have your own life to live, your own goals to achieve. They'll call you at all hours of the night, expecting you to drop everything and come running. They'll make you feel guilty when you don't help. This, right here, is where you have to step up and draw the line. No one is entitled to your energy, to your time, to your resources, unless they're giving something back in return. It's not selfish to prioritize your own needs. It's necessary for your survival, for your success, for your happiness. So how do you deal with the chronic taker? How do you stop this pattern before it drags you down even further? Here's the first step. 1. Set boundaries. You've got to draw the line. You've got to be clear about where your time and energy are going. It's okay to say no. It's okay to be unavailable. It's okay to let people know that you need space to take care of yourself. And if someone has a problem with that, then maybe they're not the right person for you to be helping. You've got to recognize that your time is one of your most valuable resources. You can never get it back. You don't have an endless supply of energy to give away. So when you give your time to someone, make sure it's worth it. Make sure it's a relationship where both people contribute to each other's growth. That's the only way a relationship can truly thrive. 2. Recognize the signs of the chronic taker. The chronic taker is often very subtle. They know how to play on your emotions and manipulate you into feeling responsible for their problems. Maybe it's a friend who constantly asks you for help with their personal issues, but never asks about yours. Or maybe it's someone who asks for financial help, but when you need something, they disappear. Recognizing the signs early is key. The sooner you realize you're dealing with a chronic taker, the easier it is to set those boundaries and protect yourself. 3. Know your worth. Listen to me. You are valuable. Your time is valuable. Your energy is valuable. Your love is valuable. And don't let anyone make you feel like you owe them something just because they've asked for your help. If they truly value you, they'll recognize that and they'll make an effort to give back just as much as you're giving. If they don't, if all they do is take, then they don't deserve your time. You deserve people who respect you and appreciate everything you bring to the table. Don't settle for anything less. 4. Don't be afraid to walk away. This is the hardest part, but it's also the most important. Sometimes you have to let go of people who are draining you, no matter how hard it is. It's tough, it hurts, but you have to ask yourself what's more important, the person who is constantly taking from you, or your own well-being, your own peace, your own future. You can't build the life you want if you're too busy carrying someone else's weight. 5. Be honest with them. Sometimes the best thing you can do is be upfront. Let them know how their actions are affecting you. You don't have to be rude. Let them know that you've given as much as you can and that it's time for them to stand on their own 2 feet. It might be uncomfortable at first, but it's the only way for them to understand that their behavior isn't acceptable. I know this might feel difficult, but remember, the more you give to the chronic taker, the less you have for yourself. You have to be your own biggest supporter. Stop allowing people to take advantage of your kindness. Protect your energy. Protect your time. You deserve more than to be someone's emotional punching bag. Their free resource, their safety net, while they do nothing to help themselves. Set your boundaries. Know your worth. And remember, you are in control of your own life, and you can choose who you allow in and who you keep out. Keep your circle strong, keep it supportive, and most of all, keep it real. Stay strong, stay focused, and stay true to yourself. Person 3, the reluctant learner. All right, let's get into it. You've heard of them. Maybe you've even been there yourself at some point, the reluctant learner. This is the person who wants to change, they want to grow, they want to improve, but when it comes time to do the work, when it comes time to take the tough steps necessary for growth, they drag their feet. They're reluctant, they resist, and no matter how many times you help, they never seem to get it. I'm not talking about someone who's just struggling to learn something new. We all go through tough times. But the reluctant learner is different. They come to you time and time again, asking for your help, but never truly taking it to heart. They ask for advice but don't follow it. They ask for guidance but continue to make the same mistakes over and over. They have all the resources they need right in front of them, but they refuse to put in the effort to change. If you're constantly giving your time, energy, and advice to someone who's not willing to do the work themselves, you're wasting your time. You're setting yourself up for frustration. I'm not here to tell you that you should stop helping people altogether. What I'm saying is that there's a line, and the reluctant learner is standing right on the wrong side of it. Let me break this down for you, because you need to understand why it's critical to recognize when someone is simply reluctant to learn and when they're not putting in the effort they need to grow. And once you recognize it, you've got to make a decision. Is this person worthy of your time and energy? The reluctant learner shows up, they ask for your help, they say they're going to take action, and then nothing. No follow-through. They've asked you for advice, but they never apply it. They've come to you for help, but they never actually use the tools you've given them to succeed. And this happens time and time again. Look, it's one thing if someone asks for help and struggles to implement your advice, because we all know change is hard. But when someone consistently asks for help, makes excuses, and doesn't take the necessary steps to improve, that's when you've got to call it out. That's when you've got to stop enabling them and start asking the tough questions. You've given them everything they need, but they're unwilling to take action. And that's on them, not on you. The reluctant learner isn't truly interested in solving their problems. They're interested in venting and complaining. They'll come to you with the same issues over and over again. But when you give them practical advice, they avoid it or ignore it altogether. They're addicted to their own narrative of struggle. They want sympathy more than they want solutions. And here's the truth: you can't save someone who isn't ready to save themselves. As much as you want to help, as much as you care about them, if they're not willing to put in the work, then your efforts are just feeding into their unwillingness to change. You can't fight their battles for them. They've got to fight for themselves. I want you to understand something. Your time is precious. The more you help someone who's not willing to help themselves, the more you take away from your own goals, your own dreams, your own growth. Every time you pour your energy into a reluctant learner, you're draining your own potential. Your resources, your focus, your strength are finite. Every time you say yes to helping someone who isn't taking responsibility for their own life, you're saying no to your own progress. That's a hard pill to swallow, but it's the truth. You can't keep giving to people who aren't giving back. One of the key signs of a reluctant learner is their refusal to take responsibility. When things go wrong, they point the finger at someone else. They look for excuses. They blame circumstances, blame their upbringing, blame their bad luck. But they never look inward. They never ask themselves, what could I have done differently? What can I change within myself to do better next time? But let me tell you, growth doesn't come from blaming others. It comes from looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I need to do better. When someone is stuck in this loop of deflection and avoidance, they're not ready to learn. They're not ready to change. And no matter how much you try to help, they won't grow until they're willing to take accountability for their own actions. Here's the bottom line. Your energy is one of your most valuable assets. And if you're constantly pouring into someone who's not putting in the effort to improve, you're doing yourself a disservice. You can't keep giving to someone who refuses to take action. Your time, your focus, your heart, they all deserve to be spent on people who are ready to meet you halfway. People who are committed to their own growth. People who are willing to take responsibility for their own success. If you've been pouring all your energy into someone who isn't showing up for themselves, it's time to stop. It's time to reevaluate where you're putting your focus. You are not responsible for someone else's growth if they're not putting in the work. The reluctant learner will drain you if you let them, and you can't afford that. Change starts from within. You can't make someone want to change if they're not ready. You can't force growth on someone who's not open to it. The only person who can create lasting change in someone's life is that person themselves. And while you might want to help them, you've got to recognize that they have to take ownership of their journey. Your role is to offer guidance and support. The reluctant learner is often stuck in their comfort zone, afraid to step out and make the changes necessary to succeed. But if you keep enabling that behavior, you're just helping them stay comfortable in their fear. You're allowing them to avoid the discomfort that comes with growth. And guess what? No one grows in their comfort zone. If they're going to move forward, they've got to be uncomfortable. They've got to be willing to stretch beyond what they thought was possible. And sometimes, the best way you can help is by stepping back and letting them figure it out on their own. Here's where the hard truth hits. If someone is truly reluctant to learn, it's time to step back. It's time to stop pouring energy into a situation that isn't going to change. Because you can't force someone to grow. You can't force someone to want more for themselves. And if they're not taking the necessary steps, you can't make them. It might be uncomfortable, you might feel guilty, but you've got to recognize that sometimes the best way to help someone is to let them face the consequences of their inaction. You have to recognize when someone isn't ready to change, no matter how much you want to help them. If they're not willing to put in the effort, if they're not willing to take responsibility for their own growth, then your time and energy are better spent elsewhere. You deserve to invest in people who are committed to their own success. Remember, you can't do the work for them. You can offer support, you can provide guidance, but at the end of the day, the person has to want it for themselves. Let the reluctant learners work through their own journey, because you can't help them if they're not ready to help themselves. Protect your time, protect your energy, and focus on those who are ready to grow. Person 4, the drama magnet. Let's talk about something real for a moment. The drama magnet. You've seen them. They're the people who seem to be surrounded by chaos wherever they go. It's like they're drawn to it, like they can't help but create it. They feed off of it. And somehow, no matter what you do, no matter how much you try to help, it's never enough. The drama just keeps coming. And you find yourself in the middle of it over and over again. Now, let me be clear about something. I'm not saying you should turn your back on people when they're struggling or in need. I'm not telling you to stop being compassionate. But what I am telling you is that you need to recognize when someone is addicted to the drama, when they thrive on the chaos and confusion, and when that chaos starts to pull you down with them. That's when you've got to step back. It's easy to get caught up in someone else's storm, to feel like it's your job to help them weather it. But here's the hard truth. You can't fix someone who doesn't want to fix themselves. And the drama magnet, they don't want peace. They don't want stability. They don't want solutions. They want chaos. They want to keep that constant whirlwind of problems spinning, because in their mind, that's what makes them feel alive. So let's break this down. How do you recognize the drama magnet, and why do you need to stop helping them? More importantly, how can you protect your own peace and focus on the things that truly matter to you? The drama magnet is comfortable with chaos. It's all they've known. When life's calm, they don't know how to handle it. It's unsettling for them. They start to stir things up because they need the adrenaline. They thrive on the emotional highs and lows that drama brings. To them, it's normal. They've been living in this state for so long, they don't even recognize it anymore. You don't need that kind of energy in your life. If you're constantly caught in someone's emotional whirlwind, it's draining you, it's stealing your peace. And what are you really getting out of it? Nothing. You can't help someone who doesn't want to break the cycle, and you can't sacrifice your own peace for theirs. Drama brings attention. It's not that they want to help themselves. No, they want others to see their problems, their struggles, and their pain. The more chaos, the more people are involved, the more they get to be the focus. They pull people in, not for resolution, but for validation. When you deal with a drama magnet, you'll realize that no matter how much you help, it's never enough. No matter how many times you step in and give them what they need to fix the situation, they always come back with something else. They are not interested in changing their circumstances. They are addicted to the drama, and they'll drag you into it with them. The reality is that you can't help someone who refuses to help themselves. You can't fix a problem that the other person isn't committed to fixing. If you keep offering solutions that they won't take, you're only enabling their dysfunction. The biggest danger with the drama magnet is that you get sucked in. Their chaos starts to become your chaos. You start losing sight of your own priorities, your own goals, because you're constantly caught up in their issues. You'll find yourself spending hours, days, weeks, trying to fix their problems and neglecting your own life in the process. The more you get involved, the harder it becomes to separate your own peace from their chaos. And let's be honest, this is not the way to live. You've got your own dreams, your own work, your own focus. You can't afford to lose your energy to someone who is determined to stay stuck. One of the hallmarks of a drama magnet is their constant state of victimhood. Everything is always happening to them. They rarely take accountability for their actions. It's always someone else's fault. And when you keep stepping in to help, you're unintentionally reinforcing this mindset. You're telling them that it's okay to play the victim, to let the drama take over their life. You're telling them that they don't have to take responsibility for their own actions because you'll always be there to bail them out. But let me tell you this, you are not helping them. You are enabling their victim mentality. You're reinforcing the idea that they don't have to grow, that they don't have to take charge of their own life. And if you keep helping, you're allowing them to stay stuck. At the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, what is your peace worth? Because when you get caught up in the drama, you lose your peace. You lose your focus. You lose your joy. And I'm here to tell you this, your peace is priceless. You've got dreams, you've got goals, you've got things you're working on, and the last thing you need is to constantly be pulled into someone else's drama. So it's time to make a choice. Protect your peace. It's not selfish. This is the hardest part, but also the most important. You need to know when to walk away. You can't fix the drama magnet. You can't be their savior. You can't fix their chaos. That's their job. You have to recognize when it's time to step back. You can still love them. You can still wish them well. But you don't have to get caught in their storm. You don't have to let their chaos derail your life. You've got to protect your energy, and sometimes that means knowing when to walk away and letting them figure it out on their own. The drama magnet doesn't want your help. They want attention. They want chaos, and they'll take whatever they can from you as long as you keep giving. But you're not obligated to keep feeding that cycle. It's time to take a step back. Protect your peace. Recognize when someone is addicted to drama and don't let yourself get caught in it. You have your own life to live. You have your own goals to achieve. And you can't afford to let someone else's chaos stop you from getting where you're meant to be. Stop helping the drama magnet and start helping yourself. Your peace, your goals, your happiness, they all depend on it. Person 5, the one who doesn't value your efforts. Listen, life's too short to waste your time on people who don't appreciate what you're doing for them. You've got your own goals, your own path to walk, your own dreams to chase. So why are you investing so much of your energy into someone who doesn't even recognize the value of your efforts? We've all been there. We've all given our time, our resources, our heart and soul to help someone, only to find that they either don't appreciate it or worse, take it for granted. And while you may think that the right thing to do is to keep giving, keep supporting, keep helping, I'm here to tell you that it's not. It's time to draw a line in the sand and protect your energy. But here's the truth, and I need you to hear this loud and clear. Your efforts are precious. They're valuable. And the people you choose to help should be people who not only see that, but also respect it. They should be people who show appreciation, who are grateful for what you do. Otherwise, you're just giving away your energy to people who aren't invested in their own growth. And if that's the case, you're doing nothing but keeping them stuck in a cycle of dependency. Let me break it down for you. How do you know when someone doesn't value your efforts? And what should you do about it? Here's what to look out for. If someone consistently takes your time, your help, your energy, and never shows any sign of appreciation, that's a red flag. I don't care how close they are to you, how much they've been through, or how much you care about them. If they're not acknowledging what you do for them, it's time to take a step back. It's okay to give without expecting anything in return. But there is a difference between selfless giving and being used. When you give without getting back anything of value, you're allowing yourself to be drained. You're pouring from an empty cup. You probably experienced this before. You've helped them once, twice, maybe even 3 times, and yet they keep coming back with the same issue. Why? Because they're not valuing your help. They're not using what you've given them. They're stuck in a pattern of relying on you instead of learning how to solve their own problems. Now I get it. Sometimes people need help. Sometimes they need support. But when you see someone continuously going through the same struggles without making any effort to change or improve, you need to recognize that they're not valuing what you're giving them. If they're not putting in the work to change, to grow, or to solve the problem themselves, then you're not helping them, you're enabling them. You're just prolonging their dependency on you. And that's not doing anyone any favors. You've got to recognize when someone is taking advantage of your generosity. You've given advice, you've shared your wisdom, your experience, you've put in the effort to help them find the right path. But then, nothing changes. They don't apply the advice. They don't take action on the steps you've outlined. They don't even try to make things better. It's like they're not even listening. If you're spending your time teaching someone, coaching them, and guiding them, but they never apply what you've taught them, it's a sign they're not valuing your time or effort. Your knowledge, your wisdom, it's valuable. But if someone is just passively receiving it without taking responsibility for their own growth, then what's the point? People will only change when they choose to change. You can lead them to the water, but you can't make them drink. So if they're not willing to put in the work themselves, stop wasting your energy. It's okay to step back and let them figure it out. A relationship, any kind of relationship, should be balanced. It's not about keeping score, but there should be a mutual exchange. If you're always the one giving your time, your resources, your love, your support, and they're always the one taking, something's wrong. You can't keep pouring into someone who isn't pouring back into you. You can't give and give and give without getting anything in return. You'll burn out. You'll lose yourself in the process. Real support is mutual. It's about two people coming together to help each other grow. If the balance is off, if it's always one-sided, you've got to recognize that this isn't healthy for you. You're not a bottomless pit. You can't keep giving without receiving. And when someone doesn't value your efforts, they'll drain you until there's nothing left. Another big sign someone doesn't value your efforts is when they never take responsibility for their own actions. They blame everyone else for their problems. They never take ownership of their mistakes, their choices, or their situation. They expect you to fix everything for them, and when you help, they don't learn from it. If someone is never owning up to their part in the situation, they're not valuing your time, your energy, or your wisdom. It's time to stop doing the work for them. Listen, you've got one life, one shot at this, and you cannot afford to waste it on people who don't value your efforts. Your time, your energy, your love, these things are precious. So it's time to stop giving them away to people who are only taking and never giving back. Make sure that your efforts are being appreciated by the people who matter most. So don't waste your time. Give your energy to those who appreciate it. Let the people who don't value your efforts find their own way and protect your peace, your purpose, and your power. Person 6, the self-sabotager. There's a type of person you might come across in life, and they'll seem like they're in desperate need of help. They're struggling. They're down on their luck. But here's the catch. They're their own worst enemy. These are the ones I'm talking about. The self-saboteurs. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't show compassion. I'm not saying don't care. But there's a difference between helping someone who genuinely wants to change, who is ready to grow, and someone who consistently stands in their own way. The self-saboteur will keep you running in circles, giving your energy to someone who is not doing the work themselves. And that, my friends, is draining. You're pouring all your energy into a bottomless pit. So what do you need to do? You need to recognize the self-saboteur for who they are and learn how to step back. Because when they refuse to help themselves, no amount of your effort will ever be enough. Self-sabotage is when someone undermines their own success. It's when they get in their own way, time and time again. You've seen it, right? You try to help them, you give them advice, you pour your wisdom into them, but they don't take action. They don't apply what you've said. They keep repeating the same mistakes. And before you know it, they've dug themselves deeper into a hole, and they're looking at you to pull them out again. But here's the hard truth. You can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved. The self-saboteur often gets caught in a cycle. They'll start something, make progress for a while, then destroy it with their own actions. Maybe they sabotage relationships, self-destruct in their career, or refuse to stick to any positive habit. They know better, but they keep repeating the cycle. They're not just trapped in their circumstances, they're trapped in their mindset, and you can't fix that for them. At some point, the self-saboteur needs to take responsibility for their life. You can't keep enabling them. You can't keep swooping in to solve their problems. The moment you step in and keep picking up the pieces, you take away their ability to learn the lessons they need to learn. They won't grow. They won't change. It's like a child learning to walk. You can hold their hand and help them, but at some point you've got to let go. They need to find their own balance. They need to stumble and fall so they can get back up. And if you're always there to catch them, they won't ever learn how to stand on their own 2 feet. That's the reality of the self-saboteur. They need to face the consequences of their actions and take responsibility for the path they've chosen. If they continue to choose self-destructive behavior, you need to stop being their safety net. You can't fix what they're not willing to fix themselves. Let's be real. You can't want something more for someone than they want for themselves. You can't force someone to grow, to change, to better themselves. If they're constantly sabotaging their own progress, it's because they haven't yet decided to make the change. And that's something only they can do. You've probably tried everything. You've given advice. You've offered support. You've lent a helping hand. But at the end of the day, if they don't decide to change their mindset and their behavior, then they'll stay stuck. And that's not on you. You're wasting your time and energy trying to fix someone who's not ready to fix themselves. The self-saboteur's journey is theirs to make. It's their responsibility to get out of their own way, to stop creating obstacles, to stop self-destructing. You can't make that decision for them. So what do you do when you come across a self-saboteur in your life? First and foremost, you need to stop taking responsibility for their mistakes. It's not your job to fix them, to carry them, or to get them out of their own mess. Second, you have to set boundaries. Recognize that you can be supportive, but you cannot enable destructive behavior. Offer guidance, yes, but understand that your help can only go so far. After a certain point, if they're not taking action, you have to step back and let them face the consequences of their own choices. It's hard, but it's necessary. You have to protect your own peace. You have your own life to live, your own goals to chase, your own growth to focus on. You can't keep sacrificing your well-being for someone who is actively avoiding the work it takes to change. Instead of enabling them, offer support in a way that encourages growth. Instead of giving them the solution, challenge them to figure it out themselves. Offer a listening ear, but don't offer all the answers. Encourage them to take ownership of their life. Help them see their potential, but don't do the work for them. Empower them to recognize that the power to change lies within them, but it starts with them deciding that they're done with the cycle. That's when real transformation happens. But until they make that decision, your efforts will just be like water running off a rock. You have one life, and you can't waste it on people who are not willing to change. You can't keep trying to help someone who doesn't want help. You have to stop pouring your energy into someone who's self-sabotaging, who's not doing the work, who's not ready to take responsibility for their life. Your time is precious. Your energy is precious. You have goals, dreams, and ambitions, and you cannot afford to let anyone or anything stand in the way of your own growth. Don't let the self-saboteur drain you. Real change starts with them, not you. So protect your peace, stay focused on your own journey, and never forget, you can't fix someone who's not willing to fix themselves. Person 7, the manipulator. There's a certain kind of person you'll encounter in your life who has a special gift, the gift of manipulation. And I don't mean the good kind of persuasion that helps people grow. No, this person isn't about building others up. They're about using others for their own gain. They make you feel obligated, guilty, or even indebted to them. But let me tell you something. Helping a manipulator is not helping at all. Consistently going out of your way for someone who is manipulating you, I need you to hear me loud and clear. You're being played. Manipulators don't care about your needs or your time. They care about one thing: getting what they want from you. They will use charm, guilt, or even threats to get you to act in their favor. Every time you give in, they get stronger and you get weaker. But here's the thing, you don't have to play that game. You don't have to keep giving them the power. Stop enabling them. Gain your power back, gain yourself back, gain your life back, and start living the life you want to live. First off, you need to know who you're dealing with. Manipulators are experts at getting into your head. They'll make you feel like you're the problem. They'll twist the truth, shift the blame, and make you feel guilty for setting boundaries. They might say things like, "I thought you cared about me," or "If you really loved me, you would help me." These words are designed to make you feel bad about saying no, even though they have no intention of ever reciprocating. It's all about their needs, and your needs don't matter. They'll ask for favors that seem innocent enough, but over time they start asking for more and more. They expect you to drop everything for them, even though they're perfectly capable of handling things on their own. And here's the kicker. When you step in, they take it for granted. There's no appreciation, no gratitude, just an expectation that you'll always be there to clean up their mess. And here's the worst part. The manipulator never learns. They don't change. They never take responsibility for their actions. They don't see the value in self-reliance because you've been there doing the heavy lifting. They don't grow because you're doing all the work for them, and you're hurting yourself in the process. So what do you do when you realize you're dealing with a manipulator? First, understand this. Setting boundaries is not selfish. In fact, it's one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself. Boundaries protect your time, your energy, and your peace of mind. When you stop enabling the manipulator, you're not being cruel, you're teaching them that you won't be controlled. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you can't help them. A simple "no, I can't do that" is enough. You don't have to justify yourself. You don't have to get into a back and forth about why you said no. It's not about being rude, but about recognizing that your well-being is non-negotiable. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but Denzel, I don't want to hurt their feelings. I get it. You don't want to seem unkind. But remember this. Being kind to others doesn't mean sacrificing your own peace. Real kindness involves respecting yourself enough to say no when necessary. When you stop giving in to manipulation, you free yourself to focus on the things that matter: your goals, your relationships, your health. When you stand firm in your power, you set the tone for how others treat you. If you allow people to walk all over you, they will. But if you respect yourself enough to draw boundaries, others will start to respect you too. The manipulator will not change overnight. It might be uncomfortable at first, but in time, you'll see that they either adjust or move on, and that's exactly what you want. Because when you stop enabling their behavior, you're opening up space for healthier, more fulfilling relationships. The manipulator will always be looking for their next victim, someone who will do their dirty work, someone who will prioritize their needs over their own. But that's not you. You've got bigger things to focus on. You've got dreams, goals, and a future that requires your time and energy. You can't afford to keep giving it to someone who is only interested in using you. Are you enabling the manipulator in your life? If the answer is yes, it's time to make a change. You are worthy of respect. You deserve people who see your value, not just what they can get from you. Set those boundaries, start putting yourself first, and watch how your life changes for the better. Because when you stop helping the manipulator, you make room for the people who truly appreciate you. You make room for those who truly appreciate you. You make room for those who lift you up and want to see you succeed, not those who drag you down for their own gain. Protect your peace. Value yourself enough to know when it's time to say no. You don't owe anyone your time, your energy, or your resources if they're not willing to treat you with respect. You deserve better, and you can take back your power. Don't let anyone manipulate you into forgetting your worth. Stand firm, set your boundaries, and take control of your life. Your time is too valuable to waste on anyone who doesn't see that. Person 8, the energy vampire. Let me tell you something that might hit home. There are people out there, people you might be close to, who drain you. They suck the life out of you. They are what I like to call the energy vampires. And I'm not talking about the dramatic ones you see in movies. I'm talking about the real ones, the ones who come into your life, and when they leave, you're left feeling exhausted, defeated, and empty. First, you've got to recognize what's going on. These energy vampires often disguise themselves as people who need help. They might act like they're looking for support, a listening ear, or advice. But when you give them that, what happens? They don't change. They don't take your advice. They just keep coming back to you with the same problems, the same complaints, and the same issues, expecting you to fix them. Here's the hard truth. When you continue to pour your energy into these people, you're neglecting yourself. You're putting their needs before your own. You're letting their negativity, their problems, and their emotional chaos take precedence over your own well-being. And let me tell you, that's not just unhealthy, it's unsustainable. Helping others is important, but it shouldn't come at the expense of your own mental and emotional health. Every time you engage with an energy vampire, you lose a little piece of yourself. Over time, you start to feel like you're not enough. You start feeling like you have nothing left to give. And eventually, it will start affecting other areas of your life. The energy vampire may never see it. They're so focused on their own issues that they don't even realize they're dragging you down with them. But you have to realize it, and you have to do something about it. Your energy is valuable. It's your most precious resource. And if you give it all away to people who don't appreciate it, you're setting yourself up for burnout, frustration, and resentment. You have to protect your energy. You have to make a choice. Will you continue to give and give and give to someone who doesn't return that same energy? Or will you prioritize your own health and well-being? It might not be easy. It might feel uncomfortable at first. But you have the right to say no to someone who constantly drains you. You are not obligated to keep pouring into someone who refuses to help themselves. Set limits. Be firm. It's okay to tell them that you don't have the emotional capacity to deal with their problems right now. Just say, I can't do this today, and stick to it. Don't feel guilty for choosing to protect your peace. You also need to realize that it's not your job to fix someone's life. An energy vampire will make you feel like you're responsible for their happiness, But the truth is, they have to take responsibility for their own life. They need to learn how to deal with their problems without draining others. When you stop giving your energy to the energy vampire, you'll start to feel lighter. You'll have more clarity, more strength, and more motivation to focus on the things that matter to you. You'll be able to direct your energy into building your own life, achieving your own goals, and growing into the best version of yourself. You are worthy of your own energy. You deserve to have the space to heal, to grow, and to thrive without constantly being pulled into someone else's drama. Don't let anyone take your light from you. Protecting your energy isn't about being selfish. It's about knowing that your energy is a limited resource, and you must protect it in order to give it to the right people and the right causes. The more you protect your energy, the more you can give when it truly counts. And let me tell you something, when you stop letting the energy vampire drain you, you'll have more to give to the people who truly value you. You'll have more to give to the people who appreciate you, who support you, and who want to see you succeed. You'll have more to give to your passions, your goals, and your dreams. Your life will begin to shift. You'll find yourself surrounded by people who lift you up instead of pulling you down. You are in control of your own energy. You decide where it goes. Stop giving it to the energy vampires who drain you without giving anything back. Set boundaries. Protect your peace. And most importantly, take care of yourself first. When you do that, you'll find that your life becomes fuller, richer, and more meaningful. You deserve to be surrounded by people who lift you up, not people who suck the life out of you. Don't let anyone take your energy without giving anything in return. Stand firm, protect your peace, and use your energy wisely. Because when you do, your life will change in ways you never imagined. Person 9, the constant complainer. There are some people in your life who will never be satisfied, no matter how hard you try to help them. They're the ones who always have something to complain about. You know the type. No matter what you do, no matter how much you give, they're never happy. These are the constant complainers. And if you want to protect your peace and keep moving forward, it's time to recognize them for who they are and stop letting them drain your energy. We all know life has its ups and downs. We all face challenges, struggles, and moments when things aren't going the way we want them to. Most of us keep pushing forward, trying to find solutions and seeking out opportunities to grow. The constant complainer, on the other hand, doesn't want solutions. They want sympathy. They want attention. They want to stay stuck in their misery. The constant complainer is the person who's always bringing up the same issue over and over. And I'm not talking about someone who's looking for help or guidance. I'm talking about the person who complains about their situation, but isn't willing to do anything to change it. They talk about how hard their life is, how nothing ever goes right, how everyone else is to blame for their problems. But when you offer advice or a solution, they shoot it down. If you help, they'll never take action. Why? Because complaining is easier than changing. I'm not saying it's wrong to vent or share your struggles with someone you trust. We all need that outlet from time to time. But when someone is constantly complaining, when it's the only thing they seem to do, it becomes a toxic pattern. And I'm telling you right now, you cannot let that negativity into your life, especially when it keeps you stuck in a cycle of frustration and resentment. When you keep helping the constant complainer, all you're doing is feeding their negativity. You're offering them your time, your energy, and your solutions, only for them to reject them and come back with the same complaints. It becomes a never-ending loop of dissatisfaction. Helping a complainer is like trying to fill a cup with holes in it. No matter how much you pour in, it's never enough. they'll always find something else to complain about. The more you give, the more they'll take, and the more drained you'll feel. Over time, this will affect your own mental and emotional well-being. You'll find yourself feeling frustrated, unappreciated, and stuck in their negative energy. You can't solve someone else's problems if they're not willing to do the work themselves. You can't keep pouring into someone who's determined to stay in a place of dissatisfaction. At some point, you have to ask yourself, is this helping me? Is this helping them? Or am I just enabling them to stay where they are? It's time to set some boundaries. When the constant complainer comes to you with their same tired story, it's okay to say, I've heard this before. What have you done to change the situation? Or, I know you're struggling, but I can't keep listening to the same complaints without seeing some action from you. Person 10, the know-it-all. A person who thinks they know it all isn't open to learning. They've closed themselves off to growth, and if you're not careful, they'll drag you down with their arrogance. You can't help someone who's not willing to help themselves or admit they don't have it all figured out. And you know what? That's okay. We all know someone like this. They walk into a conversation with their chest puffed up, ready to tell you everything they've learned. And they don't even know you're not looking for an answer. You might just need someone to listen, someone to offer a different perspective. But a know-it-all isn't interested in listening, and certainly not in being taught. They want to be the expert, and they don't leave space for anyone else's voice. The know-it-all comes with a lot of pride and a lot of assumptions. They act like they have all the answers, but deep down they're hiding a fear of being wrong. They don't want to be vulnerable, and they're certainly not comfortable admitting when they don't know something. Here's the kicker. They think they're helping, but all they're really doing is building a wall. Every time you try to help someone like this, it feels like you're hitting a wall. You offer advice, and they shut you down. You share a lesson you've learned, and they dismiss it as unimportant. You see the potential in them, but they won't let you in. Instead of moving forward, they get stuck in their own pride, unwilling to grow or evolve. It's time to be intentional with your time. Spend it with people who are open to dialogue, people who are hungry for growth, people who value your insight. Don't waste it on someone who's too busy inflating their own ego to hear what you have to offer. The know-it-all may eventually come around. They may realize that the world is much bigger than their own limited view, but they have to do that on their own time, in their own way. You can't force them. What you can do is lead your life with humility and grace. Be the kind of person who listens, who learns, and who grows. So remember, when you encounter the know-it-all, don't waste your energy. Don't get caught up in their pride and arrogance. Focus on your journey. Protect your time and your peace. Lead by example, and let the people who are ready to learn and grow come to you. It's okay to step back and let them figure it out on their own. You can't teach someone who isn't willing to learn. But that doesn't mean you stop helping people. It just means you focus your efforts on those who are open to growth and change. Stay true to your path, keep moving forward with purpose, and don't let anyone's inflated sense of knowledge hold you back from the greatness that's ahead of you. Keep pushing, keep striving, and remember, you are never obligated to help anyone who isn't willing to help themselves. Keep that in mind, and you'll find yourself surrounded by people who are eager to learn and grow alongside you. That's where the real power is. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever struggled to say no to someone who didn't deserve your support? Drop a comment below and share your story. I'm sure it will inspire someone else to take that first step. And don't stop here. Click on the next video on your screen to learn about shaping your reality with beliefs. Let's continue this journey of wisdom, strength, and self-respect together. See you there.